Hello, and so I'm just going to briefly talk about Sustainable Development Goals, which is abbreviated as SDGs. So this is actually something that I actually studied during my degree years, which is environmental science. So why is it very important is that it has got 17 goals, and we have got about 193 countries all around the world who have actually joined forces to actually make sure they've actually achieved all these goals and targets. So one of it is like how to address climate change. We have got to reduce the greenhouse gas emission, and then make sure everybody has got equal education, and there should be no discrimination in terms of gender. All the female and male should be almost the same proportion in the government sector and all the working sector and so on. So these are all very important to make sure there is no discrimination among one another, and also discrimination towards the rights everyone has got to attain in our lives. Okay, so with this, there'll be no crime, there'll be no injustice, and everybody will feel happy and at peace. So even now, as I'm sharing information about sustainable development goals and what you and I can do, this is actually about sharing knowledge, which is actually to make sure you and I have got the equal access towards information, and we all have got this knowledge, right? So I'm actually trying to close the gap here, and you can also do, because it's not the United Nations level, but you and me individual level too. So like my favorite will always be SDG 13, which is climate action, and that is always something that has been so close to my heart. So I just want to make sure that I would want to take care of Mother Earth. So whenever I go out, I bring my bag, I tap out with my cutleries, my Tupperware and all these things. So I'm taking all these precautionary steps, and I'm ordering online. I make sure it's very near to my place, like around Slang or KL, and I also put labeling like please reduce the plastic packaging and stuff like that. I don't buy unnecessarily. So this is because I'm taking action to make sure SDG 13 is achieved through me personally by mindful thoughts. Talking about SDG 13 climate action, right? So when I was actually doing my degree in environmental science, actually came about carbon footprint. I actually learned about it, and it was very, very depressing. So I actually found out that our food directly give rise to a huge amount of carbon footprint. There may a lot of carbon dioxide and methane gases being emitted to the environment, and these gases trap the heat. This is what we call greenhouse effect, and this elevates or increases the effect of climate change or global warming. So that's why diet is very, very important to change. So I was like, being an environmentalist, if I'm going to spread awareness, I need to change myself, and that's why I actually became vegetarian and then became vegan. So whenever I see environmentalists talking about climate change but they're still eating meat, I'm like, you don't have the rights, first of all. But if you have reduced eating meat, I still respect you. But if you can start, it always starts slow. Reduce eating meat, and then you will eventually cut them out, knowing how much of hormones are being injected into the meat, and that's going into your body, and that's how you get cancer and so on. For your information, animals with even cancer cells, they could see clearly, blatantly, but they will just cut and only that part and throw it away, but the other part of the animals is still sell it in the market for money. So animals are actually being injected with these antibiotics, hormones and so on, so they grow faster and more fleshier and more quality, but it's all these chemicals being injected, and that's what you're eating. So that's why there's a lot of hormonal issues, imbalances, and all this LGBTQ or whatever, all this, I don't know, there's a lot of problems going on right now because of what we eat. So I've also heard like people say people who eat animals, they tend to be angrier, they tend to behave like that animal itself. I don't know if that's proven, but what is proven is what you eat is what you become. So ever since I shift my diet, I feel like I am able to maintain my weight better, and everything feels easier. And I used to have a lot of acne, but now nothing. So I just have scars and oily skin off, and everything is way better right now. The reason why I actually started with SDG and now into this animal farming is because this animal agriculture entirely contribute to about 50% or more greenhouse gases in the entire world, but nobody talks about it when it comes to environment and climate change. But yes, after fossil fuel combustion is certainly animal agriculture, and this is because of a huge land. As I said, deforestation is done hugely to actually accommodate all these animals, and then they are brought to a slaughterhouse, and then they are slaughtered, and then they are processed into packages, and then they are imported, exported all around the world, the medicines used, and this entire thing, huge amount of carbon footprint. And if we can all go vegetarian or vegan, about 50% of greenhouse gases will be prevented from emitted into the environment, and climate change can be reversed, but they're not telling us this. So I do not know why. It's because people are so adamant they don't want to change their diet. So cancer or plants, don't talk about plants badly, because if you're sick, you're going to eat plant soup anyways. So initially I became vegetarian for the environment, but then when I saw the slaughterhouse videos, I was like, imagine people are just slaughtering your mother life in front of you. how would you feel? So it's the same thing with cows and animals. So this is what we call speciesism, meaning we discriminate animals thinking they are of lower class than humans. We think we are superior and animals are just dumb, so we can just treat them like shit. So that's what I actually saw, and I felt like this is not very peaceful. So that's when I actually transitioned my diet, and I actually had this purpose in life in which I want to treat animals equally as humans. We're all equal. You are not superior to animals, okay, first of all. And 90% deforestation, as I mentioned, is actually for the animals, and animals are tortured. They're tortured, they can't escape. Imagine a life being born and someone else is ruling your entire life. That is very, very saddening.